Hello and welcome to DVB Box Pop, a podcast featuring voices from Generation Z
We are your hosts, Nyingsu.
and Tuya.
Tune in every week to hear young people share their personal stories,
And how they hope to achieve a future democratic Myanmar.
free from military dictatorship. To listen, follow DVB English in your podcast app.
DVB Box Pop is available wherever you get your podcasts. I'm your host Tuya. For this week's episode, I'm with Nye, a young punk rock singer, former student union member, and trauma healer. Nye, welcome and thank you for being here with me.
Hi, thank you for inviting.
Nye, could you please tell me about yourself? How and when did you become a punk rock singer and also a student union member?
I became a student union member when I was in university back in 2014, I think. And I was in the union, and then I met with punks, and then I was really drawn into that scene and culture, and then I slowly became more active in the punk scene. I would say around 2016-17, that time. Yeah.
In Myanmar, being a punk was not easy for the people. So how do the people view you and your punk rock lifestyles?
You know, back in the days, I think it's more harsh to be a punk, but now it seems like people are more open and, understand what we are, or like what we are trying to do, or things like that. You will be stared on the street, people scared you, or people just think they can just harass you because you are different than normal people.
I believe that was not easy for you. And in your family, how's your parent view to your punk rocker lifestyle?
I think since I started, become a punk, or, even before the student union member, my parents didn't agree with me at all, for sure. They didn't support me, they didn't like my choices, but I don't know, I wasn't very close with them, so for me, every time it's just their, opinion. It just doesn't really affect me that much, I would say. Yeah, so they don't agree with me, but that's fine. We don't have any sort of problem on that.
I know the punk rock society in Myanmar has a lot of humanitarian programs, such as food not bombs, book not bombs, and other things. So could you please tell me more about that?
Food Not Bombs was there even before I came into the punk scene. So I think it started before I joined this punk scene. But Books Not Bombs and Free Shop, they started after I became involved in the punk scene. So Food Not Bombs is more like a solidarity anti-war movement, but it wasn't started by us. It's a global movement, so it's been there way before it came to Yangon. And yeah, so Food Not Bombs is mainly focusing on food sharing, trying to point out the poverty and injustices in the society and the system currently rooted in Myanmar. And Books Not Bombs, it's more like educational program, so we want to support schools and other, how can I say, organization in the other regions of Myanmar. So we want to support books and other activities that they can run in the schools and organizations in other regions of Myanmar. And Free Shop is very recent movement that we did. So it was the idea when my bandmate went to Europe tour, they found that it's very they experience it and they think it's very cool because I think it was in Switzerland, they were staying in a squat house and then they were doing like some kind of free stuff, so they just put everything in the middle of the room and then everybody who's needed come take it, and then if you don't need anything you can just share it with other people. So I think they just found it's a very cool idea, so they wanted to do it in Myanmar when they got back from Europe. So they just started it. So yeah, it's just slowly happening, and then now it's happened every now and then in Yangon, and I think it's happening in Mesa as well currently. Yeah, so it's more like, you know, sharing and supporting each other as a community. I think it's a very cool thing, so that, you know, sometimes you might not need something and you think it's not that big deal, but it could be very precious for other person. So it's like helping and supporting each other as a community. It's not about the thing, it's about, you know, having a value as a community. Yeah.
In Myanmar, like most people think the punk won't do such thing like helping to other people. So did you have any like difficulty when you start to like donate to a new place? Do you need to like negotiate people or authorities?
We don't really have to deal with authority, but gaining people's trust is always difficult, right? So I wasn't there, but when they started Food Not Bombs back in the days, they were trying to give free food to the homeless on the streets of Yangon. And then they just scare them, the punks, so they just ran away. What are you trying to give me? You know, just get away from me, you know? So it was really hard to build that connection and trust with the people because of how we look, and you know, but now it's getting easier since it's became years of practice. But yeah, when you go somewhere new, it's hard to build that connection, you know. And I think it's not just a punk, I think it's just normal, you know, to have that connection, you know. So being a punk, it would be a little bit more difficult, you know, because of our physical appearances. But at the end, yeah, it's always not easy to build community and, you know, have that connection and trust. Yeah, it's a bit challenging, but we never have to deal with authorities and stuff. We choose not to. We don't really think of it like something necessary to do. Yeah.
So like during those programs, like did you get any support from the international organizations or maybe the Myanmar's government?
Food Not Bombs is the anti-war movement, so it's basically we're talking about the civil war and how it's affecting our country, and you know how it's no way we will have a good relationship with any sort of government, but we have support from like independent groups and, you know, organizations, but we run Food Not Bombs as the independent event and movement. So we don't ask for grant or donation or anything. We just in the beginning we just put our money. So you know, if there are like 5 or 6 of us, we would just share our own money, and then we just collect it, and then we would just buy what we can, and then we just give to other people. And then when it's got bigger, people want to donate their money, you know, and then we accept that independent money, but we don't accept any like big chunk of financial support from anyone.
When the coup happened, like, is there any changes in the punk society in Myanmar? How did you manage to continue those programs like Food Not Bombs, Book Not Bombs? Yeah,
it's a bit more difficult than before because we wanna, you know, we don't want to take risks too much, and we want to keep ourselves safe. So we have to be a little bit more careful in how we conduct it. It's still going on and it's expanding. Like now we have like Food Not Bombs and free shop in Mesa, you know, not just in Thailand. I'm speaking it because I'm in Thailand, but it's also in other regions of Myanmar now, you know, there's Foot Not Bombs community farm in Cayenne State. There's like even in local, this also expanding. So we will continue to do it, and we will stay on what we believe.
In Myanmar, there's not a lot of female involved in punk rock society. So how did you feel about that? Like, do you think like it would be great to have more women involved in the punk society?
Yeah, that's what it should be, right? Yeah, but it's the number of women in the punk scene is relatively way fewer than the number of male. But it doesn't mean there's none, right? There are a lot of women being in the punk scene. They might not be very visible as male punk, or not being seen or heard, but there are definitely walks of women and participation of women in the punk scene. And yeah, I think even compared to like last few, like 3 or 4 years, and now there are more and more female punks in the scene now.
How did you manage to young women more involved in your work?
For me personally, I think it's not like we have to teach women. It's more about creating a safer community and environment where women can be heard and seen, and I think that's important. That's the only way that so that everybody can be involved.
So I know that like you are doing trauma healing. What makes you become a trauma healer?
I became a yoga instructor after I finished my FAST training. It was a trauma-informed yoga leadership training back in 2018. So it was organized by an empowerment project, it's called, and they invited like women from all around Myanmar, so from Kachin and Manly, Yangon, Cayenne, like all different parts of Myanmar, and their intention is to give us some skills and knowledge, so that we can go back to our community and help people and support people, continue the work of helping others. And yeah, I took that training, and it was very inspiring, and I personally changed a lot of my views, it was very inspiring. So after I finished the training, my teacher asked me if I wanted to teach yoga at a safe house for women and survivors of domestic violence and stuff. And I took it, and it was very, how can I say, it was very cool. It was very cool. Not like we're doing like fun things, we will cry together, it was so intense every time I go and teach classes. But also like when I tell people like, oh, you're going to safe house and teaching yoga, and you're doing the good things, it's like I am doing the good work for poor people, but it's not how healing works, right? So I'm not like teaching them, it's like we are all experiencing together and healing together. It was really great to witness it. So I was like, I want to continue doing that. I want to do that in the future. So that's how I decided to pursue that. In one part, it's very triggering and, it's just heavy, but also it's somehow helped me in a way to release my trauma as well, to release release what I've been carrying on.
I know that like you're doing hand poke tattooing, so I'm really curious, how did you get interested in hand poke tattooing, and how did you start it?
Yeah, after I moved to Thailand, I really miss Yangon, and especially getting tattoo. It's a huge part of my life, and I have a lot of friends who are tattoo artists. Whenever I'm stressed or I need that sense of release, I would go and get a tattoo, but it's not easy for me to get tattoo here. They're expensive, that's one thing. But also I don't want to just go to random tattoo artists and, get tattoo, they're not my friends. I want to have that connection and, relationship with who that's my tattoo, right? And at the same time, I was also like looking and, and then I saw like how hand poke tattoo can be like healing for you, have like body-mind connection, stuff like that. So I'm like, oh, it would be cool if I can tattoo myself, and I don't need to buy a machine or, it's not going to be expensive. I can just do it myself easily. I was thinking that, and then I found a YouTuber in Bai, where I used to live, and she does hand poke tattoo. So I was asking her like, where did you learn? Who's your teacher? How I was just asking questions, and then she's like, oh, I don't have a teacher. I just interested in it, and then I learned from YouTube and stuff like that. And then I was like, oh, that's cool. I could do that, I could learn from YouTube. So I started going on YouTube. I watched a lot of videos, and then I already have experiences on it back in the day. So I know what are the steps in tattooing, how to prepare. I've seen it, and I just need to learn a little bit more stuff to save and, not to get infection and stuff. So yeah, I was watching YouTube's hours and hours, and I'm like, I'm gonna do it, there was no doubt in me. What if, I was like, I can do it. I have the feeling I can do it. I'm gonna do it. And then I ordered a bunch of like inks and needles and all of the things that I need from online for tattooing. And then I started hand poking myself for fun. And then I just found that I'm really good at it. I don't want to brag. I'm not bragging. I think I'm good at it. And I don't know. I found the connection with that, like I can aware of my breath more, the concentration. It just gives me a lot of like healing myself in a way. So I keep doing that. And then I tell my friends like, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing hand poke. You want to see my work? So I have like different pieces on my body that I did myself, and they're like, oh, cool. Do you want to tattoo me? So I'm like, yeah, of course. And then that's how I started hand poking for other people's as well. Yeah.
I'm making an appointment like to get a tattoo from you.
Yes, please do.
With your yoga instruction training, you did resilient training last year, and I enjoyed it. So is there any more resilient training like that?
Honestly, I don't know, right? At this point, we as Burmese, we can't really plan the future, right? We just have to go with the flow. But I think I see it as my part or like my work in the revolution, So I would just continue doing it whenever or however I get the chance. I hope it continues because people need that too. Yeah.
Since the military coup, like a lot of people in Myanmar traumatized by the violence. So for those who came to Thailand, how did you do to connect with those people to ease their trauma with your yoga instruction? If
there is anyone wants to do yoga practice or any kind of body walks one-on-one, I offer it. And also mostly I work with some organizations and NGOs, so they hire me in a way so that I can go and share my knowledge and share like how to like cope or like how to self-regulate and stuff. So I have been doing some workshops on that with some organization, or I teach or share my knowledge as a guest speaker, or whatever I get the chance, to talk about like how to release the trauma, how to cope, or how to self-regulate, all sort of stuff. Yeah, so yeah, that's what I do, but I don't really have the direct connection with the people. It's one thing is because I don't have much, I don't really spread the words because of the security reason. I can just share it. So it's more like indirect. It's go through other like organization and NGOs. From them I have to walk through to the people. Yeah, but yeah, but I think it's just the first time. But since we have the connection, it's in the and later it's just more like direct ways. We've seen a lot of violences and horrible things. We have experienced it, so it's a mixed feeling. It's very horrible, but I feel like we can come through it, together, and that's my feeling. Yeah.
What are your hope for the futures of Myanmar?
My hope to have peace, but I believe another world is possible. So not just Myanmar, but in general, the whole world can be peaceful, and then just no discrimination, and no fascism, no racism, no sexism, all those bullshit just gone. And then I believe like we can create it together, and that's my hope. I don't know if we can make it until it happens, but we are on the way. We are on the way.
Is there anyone or organization that you like to mention, or anything else you want to add?
Not particularly, but yeah, I think as survivors, or like people who are like being involved in this coup and revolution, we just feel like we have to go through, we have to push it, and then we have to end this, right? In my opinion, like I said, like until we have another war, it's gonna be a long run, right? So we just have to take it slow. It sounds weird, it sounds like it's not very popular opinion, but we just have to take rest. It's a goal we have to. It's a far goal. So take it easy. Take time for yourself. Take a rest. Take care of your mental health, and then at the end we will achieve to another wall, and we will win.
Thank you so much, and I'm really appreciate for your time.
Thank you. You too.